Hello everyone, it is Teresa from Teresa's Pot for Art, where I love showing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to Anchors Away, our Zoom tutorial. I'm going to turn you guys around and we are going to get started. So let me move my stuff. I am reusing a canvas, that's why you can see it's already a little wet, and you might see that there is some design on it. Got you guys all straightened out. Okay, I have out white, and I'm going to put out a little baby blue, light blue, neon blue, whatever you have that is light in color and you want your background to be. I don't get hung up on the colors. I like people to choose the colors that they want or they like, and it is totally up to you what colors and what palette you do. I have suggested colors, and that's that. I am I am putting one corner of my brush in one color and one corner of my brush in the other color. We're trying not to over mix. So I have some blue and some white going on my brush and then onto my surface. So blue and white. It's a little hard to tell. You're not going to get a lot of variation because our canvas is white. But every time you pick up paint, you want to pick up the blue and the white. And we are making so many different values of our blue. We want a lot of darker light blue and a lot of lighter dark blue. Does that make sense? Going on our painting. So I'm always picking up the blue and I'm always picking up the white. And I'm doing my strokes in little sections and on a diagonal. And then when we put our anchor on, we're going to put our anchor on in the opposite diagonal. If you wanted to, you could have traced your anchor on first and then painted around it. Or you can do what I'm doing and put your anchor on after we do the background. Or you can even freehand the anchor. It is totally up to you. I'm going to use the tracer. So as soon as I'm done with the background, I'm going to grab my tracer. First I'm going to dry my canvas a little bit, and then I'm going to grab my tracer and trace on my anchor. The beauty of these Zoom classes and then having access to the recording is that you can pause anytime you need to, or fast forward anytime you need to, or go to a spot. Maybe you missed something I said or you want to see it again. So these Zooms and these video tutorials are a great opportunity to do that. And not only that, if you want to paint the anchor again or the accent flowers that are on this painting, you can go back to this recording to figure out or refresh your memory about how to paint the flowers and paint them onto something else. The flowers I'm going to be teaching you in this project are very simple and can be done with any colors of paint that you want to. Okay, so now I did that. While you guys are finishing your surface, I'm also going to paint my edges. You can paint your edges too if you want. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And when I do the edges and I want them to match, I'm actually dipping my brush in the blue and white also, so our edges match the front of our canvas. Sometimes we have to go back in and touch up the front because the paint gets over the edge, but that's okay. And I'm just picking up the blue and the white and loosely painting in my edges here. Okay, turn it back around. There we go. Got a little bit of paint on my arm. Let's wipe that off. Okay. I'm going to get out my dryer and hit my surface a little bit with my dryer. For the next step, you will need your tracer, your graphite paper, and then something to trace with. I like to use this metal stylus, but you can use a pen or a pencil. It is totally up to you. Looking at my other brushes here. Acrylic paints tend to dry quickly, and it also depends on the temperature and the humidity in your home. Paints will dry differently in different times depending on the climate that they're in. This is a heat gun, but I use a blow dryer sometimes too. So either way, or you can paint your background and then come back and move on to the second step. Up to you. Don't get caught up in your background. Don't get caught up if you're like, oh, I have a mistake up here or here. These backgrounds have so much going on, you really can't make a mistake. And even if you feel like you did, we have to trace on our design. We're going to put our anchor. We're going to put some swashes. We're going to put some flowers. You're not even going to see what's going on in the background anymore. Okay? So I have lined up my tracer. If you purchase the kit, you have, oh, I need a piece of tape. If you purchase the kit, you will already have a pre-traced canvas. If you purchased the digital download with the video, you have a tracer like this that you could have printed out. Get yourself a piece of graphite paper, and we're going to trace on our anchor. Now, if you want to trace on the flowers, you can. The only thing I would do for the flowers is a circle. If that makes you feel better, go right ahead and trace on the circle for the flowers. Sometimes I like to wait and not trace those things on because, like I was saying before, maybe there's something, maybe you dropped your brush onto your canvas and now you have a smudge or something. So maybe you want to move your flower over an inch so you can cover up that smudge. See, lots of tricks, lots of tricks. So let me see, I have that. Oh, here's the flower, so let me just put that in there. I'm going to just come in here and trace around the main circles for our flowers. Okay, so I can move this and I can move this. Now I have my anchor traced on. I have the circles for my flowers traced on. I'm gonna move this stuff out of my way and put out some of this dark blue. Now I'm not even going to wash my brush, and I'm actually going to stay with about the 3/4 inch brush that I was using. If you want to change to a smaller brush, you can. I'm not going to wash this. I'm going to go right into my dark blue, and I'm going to start filling in my anchor. So a lot of times when I paint the way I color, and that means I will do an outline first. This way it keeps my eyes where I feel like they need to be. Plus you may have noticed that I paint on a Lazy Susie. That also helps me move my surface around any which way I need to. It's easier to move your surface than it is to be a contortionist and try and like turn your arm or your wrist or whatever it need be to get the angle that you need for the stroke that you need. I might have to switch to a smaller brush, but we shall see. And again, we may need to use the dryer again before we add our flowers. But I'm just in here base coating, trying to be as neat as possible. If you need a smaller brush to go in and fix some of the lines that you painted or even out some of the edges, go right ahead. I am using this dark ultramarine blue. If you wanted to use more of a navy blue, that's up to you. You can even add a tiny, this painting doesn't have any black in it, but you can add a tiny bit of black to your paint to get it a little bit darker if you wanted to. The one thing I will say, and I tell my painters this all the time, our anchor is symmetrical, right? Presumably they are. We want them to be, okay? But if you come in here and you start fixing the left, and then you have to fix the right, and then you have to fix the left, and then you want to go back in and fix the right, before you know it, your anchor is going to be huge. So at some point, you just have to be like, okay, it looks good. Because although the anchor is the focal point of our art, there's going to be other things going on. We have to put in our swashes for movement. We're going to put in a few flowers, okay? So we don't have to get caught up in having it exact. Do the best you can, and trust me, if you keep going, fix, 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 you're going to have your anchor much bigger than you wanted it to begin with. I am switching brushes to this like a 1/4 inch one. I'm going to use it on the flat, and I'm going to just come in here and paint in the circle for the top of our anchor. The other brush was a little too big. Okay, so I have a little bit there. I'm not gonna worry about that because I'll just move one of my swashes a little bit closer to that when we get to that point, and we'll fix that. I'm not gonna worry about going over that. We're just gonna hide it, okay? And I'm gonna wash my brush. Now I'm going to go back to my white. You can use the smaller brush or the larger brush. It's up to you. When I rinse my brush, I like to give it a good dry. I have a rag right here. You can use paper towels, whatever it is. And I like to get most of the moisture out of my brush. I'm going to pick up my white. We want our painting to have a lot of movement. So I'm just going to start painting in almost like these feathery strokes. Different lengths, different sizes. This is what I meant over here. Now up here, I had that little blue where I made a mistake. So I'm just going to come in, I'm going to add my white there. All right. I'm going to come down here and add in some swashes here. And I want them to be different lengths, so they're all coming in together here, but as they rise up here and come back in, they're different lengths. Okay? I'm picking up fresh white every time, and I'm being a little loose with it. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm being a little loose, curving down, and just building on it, and then in. Be careful you don't hit your blue. Our blue is still drying right now. And then we want a little bit down here. This is representing wind, waves, movement. It does not have to be perfect. We just want to give the illusion the abstract, the idea that we have some movement going on our painting. We're on the high seas and it's windy, wavy, what have you. And you can do as many of these or as few of these as you want. The important thing is they're going different ways and they're different sizes and different lengths. Okay, and then I'm going to wash my brush again. I want to rinse my brush out really well. My water's a little blue now. I don't want my flowers to be green, so I want to get the blue out of my brush. You guys know yellow and green, blue and yellow make green, so you want to be careful with that. And I put out some, I'm using marigold. You can use ochre in Plaid Folk Art or deep ochre in Deco Art. And now I'm lightening it up with some white. And again, you can make it as light as you want. I like that one right there. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to base coat in the flowers. Now, yes, these are circles, but when I come in to base coat in my flower, I don't want the edge of my circle to be completely round. See how now I made it a little bit fluffy, bumpy? Okay? So I'm picking up this light yellow here. I fill in my circle first. Mixing some white with what I'm using is marigold, but you could maybe, picked up some blue, see? But you could maybe have some yellow ochre or deep ochre, depending on what color you're using. Okay. So I got my white and my marigold. And let's do this one now, going into my little one. And originally I'm going to paint the circle, but now I'm going to bump it out a little bit so it's not completely flat or round. Okay? I'm going to grab an edge of my rag just to get this blue up. And then I'm going to go back over it. I'm just mostly trying to avoid getting a green flower. Okay, so I'm going to grab my dryer. I want those bases to dry a little bit. You can make these flowers any color you want. You could leave the yellow. You can make them hot pink. You could make them a lilac, whatever you want. It's your art, your way. I'm just teaching the techniques that you need to come up with this design. These flowers are great to use on other projects, on greeting cards. I'm more concerned with drying this one so I can paint back over it. Okay, we're going to continue to let that dry a little bit. And I'm going to go to my liner brush. When I use my liner brush, I put it on the edge of the pile, my puddle of paint, and I twirl it between my thumb and forefinger. So watch here. Don't watch here, watch here. I'm twirling my brush between my thumb and my forefinger. Okay? And we're going to start adding in some dashes in our movement. Twirling my brush. They can be short, they can be long, okay? It can be heavy, it can be thick. It's your art. I have my pointer finger hanging out. So I don't have a lot of pressure and I have thinner lines. Again, with the blue, I want them to be a little bit smaller as they get close. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. It's very random. There is no rhyme or reason. We just want it to look like movement. The first one I did long, this last one I did long, and then the rest in there I'm doing short. I like to pull, so that's why you'll see I have it upside down. And depending on where you want the thick end to be, usually wherever you put your brush down first, that's going to be fatter. So I'll show you. So if we come in here, where I start my stroke is a little heavier. And then we're just going to pull in little dashes. Same thing going this way. And then our little dashes. Remember, you can do as many or as few of these as you want. I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go back to my medium-sized brush. Just about a 1/4 inch wide. I'm going to dry it pretty good. I don't want any blue in it or blue water. I'm going to go back to my light. I need a little more white. I'm going to go back to my light with my marigold, my soft yellow color, and more white, and paint this one in. It's paint, you can fix anything. And then I'm going to take my brush and work it around the outside so my flower now has uneven edges and is not just a circle. So we have a big one, a little one, and another big one. And now I'm going to put out some of this light green. This is Hauser Light, but use any light green that you have. I love this painting because it only has a few colors. If you wanted to just stick with the one blue, you can add a lot of white to it to get your background. And then you would just have the one blue, a yellow, a green, and the white. Try to make it simple for you guys. I'm going to rinse my brush. Don't forget, if you need to hit the pause button or the fast forward, go right ahead. Okay? I'm going to load my brush up with a little bit of this green. Apply a little bit of pressure to my brush. I want my fibers to flare out. Getting green up in here in my brush. I never go into the center of the puddle. I always come to the side, pull it out on my palette, and apply a little bit of pressure to my brush. Okay? And we're going to add in now here some simple leaves. And when I say simple leaves, they are just a matter of making a little football shape. Okay? So it is a frown, a smile, and a fill in. Okay? A little frown, a little smile, and fill it in. I don't care that I got a little blue on this one because we're going to add blue to our leaves for some shading anyway. Frown, smile, and fill it in. Frown, smile, fill it in. Frown, smile, fill it in. And again, Now that's a smile and that's a frown, and we're going to fill it in. See how the picking up the blue adds some really nice shading to our leaves? While I have some blue on my brush, I'm going to continue. I picked up a little bit more. I'm going to continue, and I'm doing that to the underside of our leaves. Then I'm going to go with this blue, green again on my brush, and I'm just going to add some blobs. They're almost like fillers. I'm literally just pushing down on my brush. Push, 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 push. I'm squashing my bristles. Push, 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 push. That's it. Just squashing my bristles onto my canvas. I'm going over this one again because the blue in the background is a little dark. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. Now we're going to add a little bit of this ochre to our leaves, but on the other side. I'm getting the ochre mixed with the white. I'm not putting too much on my brush, but I'm adding a little bit. Here, I'm just coming over here to the side. I have all this mixture in here, some yellow, some dark, and I'm just adding a little bit to the other side of my leaves. So the one side had the blue for the shading, and now this side has some of this light yellow for highlight. Okay, just giving our leaves a little bit of character in there. If you want to add a little bit more blue, you can. I'll show you what it looks like. Or if you like the less blue like we have down here, totally up to you. And I'm going to wash my brush. And give it a good dry. Okay. I'm going to go into my fresh white. I'm going to load my brush with the fresh white. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start putting in these comma strokes, or these dashes, or these apostrophe strokes into my flower. These are abstract flowers. I'm applying a little bit of pressure to my brush, and I'm going around in a circle. Okay, I'll show you again. Fresh white, these apostrophes or these comma strokes, they work their way into the circle, into the middle of the flower. And even, let's not forget our little guy down here. Then I'm just going to come over here with my dirty brush and pick up a little bit of the straight yellow, even though it's mixing with the white on my brush, because we don't want it too harsh. If it's really too harsh for you, it depends. Like if you like the look, it's up to you. I just wanted a little bit of shading in there. Okay. So the first thing we did was our background with the blue and the white. We let it dry or dried it with the dryer. Then we traced on or freehanded in our anchor and base coated that in with a much darker blue. Then we added these swishes in with the fresh white. And then I base coated in the 3 flowers with a very, very light marigold, yellow ochre, whatever color you're using. Mixed a lot of white with it, one of them very pale. You can make yours darker if you want. And I added in some of these blue swishes over the white. We painted in our leaves, picking up a little bit of blue for shadow and a little bit of the yellow for a highlight. And then we got nice fresh white, and we did the petals in the center of our flowers. Then I picked up just a little bit of the yellow that I was using with my dirty white brush and just added in a little bit of shading, petal shading. Okay? Now we're going to do something fairly easy. Getting my yellow. I'm going to use the back of my brush, the handle, the hard part. I'm going to dip it in the yellow, the straight yellow, and I'm going to add a cluster for the center of my flower. As you run out of paint, your dots are getting to be different sizes because you're running out of paint, and that is totally okay. I'm going to wipe it off, pick up some blue, and we're just going to do a few blue. Not too many. Okay? And we want to let that dry for now. We're going to add white, but we want those to dry a little bit. Okay? Now, I'm going to add a little circle of highlight down here for my anchor. You can do that, or if you wanted to put a name, or write ahoy, or welcome, or an address number, whatever you want to put, you can put. I'm going to stick to the reference image and put a little circle here. I'm also going to use my bottle of paint to do that with. Whenever I have to draw a perfect circle, I like to grab something that I have handy and draw it. I'm going to fill this in. If you wanted to customize yours or personalize yours, don't put the circle, just put the name, the word, whatever you want, welcome, hello, whatever. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of blue on the corner of my white brush and add a little bit of blue just to the one side to make a little bit of shadow in that hole there. Okay, and I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go back to my liner brush. If you got the complete kit from me, your liner brush is more of a small round brush, but it works just the same. I'm going to fix these. I got a little bit of yellow splashed on my anchor, so I just fix that. Acrylic paint, you can fix anything. I'm going to wash my brush again. Okay, now we want to add some white highlights. So again, I'm using my liner brush. I'm twirling it between my thumb and my forefinger. If your paint has gotten too thick at this point, after we've been painting for about 45 minutes or an hour, you want to add a little bit of water to it when you use your liner brush. Just a little. When you hold your brush up, you don't want the paint to drip off, but you do want the paint to move. And now we're going to go in, I'm going to add in some highlights. These highlights make such a huge difference. It really helps your artwork pop. We don't want to be too many. And there we go. I'm going to add a little bit of white to where I put the yellow on my leaves, just for a little highlight. I'm going to dab white in these filler leaves that I put. And I'm just dabbing my brush in each of these petals. And we made them by dabbing our big brush to begin with. And now I'm just dabbing my liner brush into the middle. Just pushing it down into the center of each of these filler flower leaves. I'm going to use the back of my brush again. And I just want to add a couple of white highlights to the center of our flowers. And there we have it. There is our Anchors Away. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me. I want you guys to be successful. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you again next time.